We're in San Francisco. We passed the 5,000 kilometer mark back in Eureka, California, Eureka. And now we're going to take you on this episode all the way down to the Mexican border to San Diego. We're going to see those beautiful beaches, the California beaches. We're going to figure out how to get through Los Angeles, through all that freeway traffic, and then back to the coast again. The beauty of the California coast. And if you're thinking of doing a bike ride, if you think you want to go on a car tour and you don't know where to go to state of Washington, follow the coast all the way down to San Diego. It's the most fantastic coastal ride maybe in the world, I don't know, but I rate it #1. Part of it takes you inland through the giant redwood trees, the Avenue of the Giants, where you can smell those trees and you're living 2,000 years in the past among these giants. It is awesome. Then you come back to the ocean again and you smell that seaweed, that fish smell that comes off the ocean. And out in the far reaches of it, that marine layer is sitting there, the fog and the rain that comes with it. And the breezes are bringing in that smell off the ocean. And then you hear the sea lions barking and growling down on the beaches as you're riding through the sea coast along the road. The traffic is kind to us because I got on the back of my bike, Alaska to Panama. They're tooting at us, waving at us. They don't care that we're on the same road as them. And as we make our way down there to San Diego again, I want you to join us on the next episode in Mexico. We've had a good time for all these episodes up to here. So let's go again. Let's meet up in the next episode. We'll see you then. Leaving San Francisco, we chose a path out of San Francisco along the bay, but it took us hours and hours because we had traffic light after traffic light, stopping. We also picked up a very noisy clicking sound in my bike that I could not figure where it was coming from. And we found out later, which I'll tell you all about in a second or two. But we made our way out of San Francisco very slowly. I had picked an Airbnb, so I'll take responsibility for that. Although I always say I'll take all the credit, but none of the responsibility. But this one I picked it because it looked nice, but it ended up with us having to climb about 20 kilometers on steep roads into the hill country, the forests, past San Jose. And it was a tough climb at the end of a long day, and the clicking noise on the bike. And then we found ourselves at the top of a large mountain or hill, and the accommodation was down at the bottom of the large hill, and the road was treacherous. I chose to ride it all the way down, basically for the Guinness's World Record, rather than walk it down, but riding or walking is okay. And then we got to the bottom and the noise was even worse, so I turned the bike over. I lost half of the little screws that hold the brake rotor up against the wheel, and a couple of them were almost to be lost, and that was what was clicking during the day, were these screws that had worked themselves out. So we tightened them up, and what had happened is I ended up with no back brake. So the next day coming out, we had some big downhills, and I had to rely on only my front brake. We got to the bottom the next day, and we got a repair, and we were all right to go for the rest of the trip. Wow, that was a great downhill, man. I just let it go. I know in the past I said no more going fast down the hill, but this was so good. I was cutting the corners, taking the hairpin turns, getting that leg out, descending as fast as I could. Great downhill. I don't know how far it is or how far it was. A sign at the top on the highway said 3 miles of downhill at 7%. We went off on the side road, so we maybe got 4 miles at 7%. Great downhill. Here's Wayne. Big smile on his face too. Heading down through Southern California, SoCal. It was interesting because we went through one of the great agricultural areas of the world where all kinds of plants, fruits and vegetables were growing. It was extremely hot as well, probably 30 degrees. And we ended up in a beautiful town. The town is a Danish settlement, and the whole town was Danish architect and Danish pastries and Danish foods. And we found a really nice boutique hotel there called the Viking Inn, and they treated us really well, and it was just a great place to stop, and they outlined a good route for us the next day that took us past at least one fantastic old stagecoach roadhouse tucked away in some valley off the main highways, where we stopped and explored this historic site as well. We ended up back on the coast. And we faced one particular section of the road that I had worried about from planning this from day one. I'd spent 2 winters with my wife in Oceanside, California, so I knew Camp Pendleton was on the coast, a large marine base, one of the largest in the United States. And there was no way of riding through it without going to the south end, getting permission and in advance for us to ride through it. Well, we're coming from the north, why are we going to go all the way to the south to go back to the north to ride back south again? So I did some research, and local people said, oh yeah, you can ride on Interstate 5 on the shoulder, good shoulder. You'll probably be going faster than the traffic, which will probably be backed up bumper to bumper. It is illegal, but people do it. So we took off, and because we're a little scared about being on that highway because the cops might come and force us off, we rode as fast as we can, maybe 32 kilometers per hour the whole way, just booting it. And it was interesting because the traffic was so heavy that in places the traffic had stopped and backed up, and we went faster than what the traffic was moving at. But even though it's illegal to ride on that section of highway, we get to the end in Oceanside, and there's a big sign that said, bicycles please depart the highway on this turn. So I thought, we're not supposed to ride on it, but they know we are, and they're telling us to get off and take the other road. So we pulled into Oceanside, where I spent 2 winters, checked out our old apartment, and then proceeded to the campground and looking for some fish and chips or something that night to remind us that we're on the ocean and we had lots of fresh fish. The next day took me through Oceanside to Santiago, California. I'd ridden this many times in the 2 winters that we were out on the coast of California, and we got to La Jolla, one of my favorite towns in probably all the world, on the ocean. So we checked that out. We got to a restaurant afterwards. We met our friend who runs iFly cameras. He's a professional drone flyer, and him and Kyle had great discussions and everything about flying drones. And then the 2 of them did a lot of recording of the drones as we rode along the beach through La Jolla, and we got some good footage that way. We stopped for lunch, and our waitress was a real gem, and she wanted to know everything about our trip, and thought that she would love to join us. And we told her our story, and she said, well, you should be making a documentary about it. And so here we are today doing that. But she ended up buying us the beer, and we had a nice lunch. What do you mean, is it real?
I mean, the Alaska to Panama, is that right?
Yeah. Yeah, Alaska, and we're halfway there now.
Oh my.
At least when we get to Tijuana, we're halfway.
Okay, well, can I at least buy you a beer for your travels? I mean, thanks for stopping here.
Well, that's excellent. Appreciate that, Bea. Thank you very much.
Cheers.
Yeah, cheers. It was just an easy downhill ride into Mission Bay, around the bay in San Diego, past the aircraft carriers and everything that are on the dock, and then into our Airbnb for 3 nights as we prepared for the epic, the stressful, the highly anticipated crossing into Mexico, into Tijuana. It would be something that we planned and checked the road map in, and we had to pick a crossing that all the tourists didn't cross, and that was how we got down from San Francisco to San Diego and to the Mexican border, and Latin America awaits us.